Hey, Walter here, and today we're going to discuss the creator conundrum. Finish the story first or start drawing now and figure out the story as you go. This is a topic I can relate with because I am an impatient creator and I want to start everything right away. I want to see my characters jumping around on the page and I want to show it off to the world. I've done it both ways and I've learned a lot from each method. Let's talk about the pros and cons of starting to draw before the story is complete. Pros: instant gratification of seeing your characters come to life. Also creative freedom to let the art take you in a different direction you may not have imagined with writing alone. Faster production. You get your book out sooner so you can start making money. Of course, this is a catch-22 as it could also slow production. If you mess up a story element and have to redraw pages or even an entire episode or issue, which is actually the first con. So let's talk about the cons. Redoing art. In general, drawing takes longer than writing, or should I say drawing takes longer than physically typing a story. I can write, 2 knights fight. I can write that pretty quickly. It takes way longer to draw it. And what if I realize later that these 2 knights should be friends? I can change the story to 2 knights high five. Super easy, super quick. But now I got to redraw that entire scene. Not cool, and it hurts more because you did it to yourself. Or maybe you realize there's a problem in the story. But you've drawn too much to change it now, so you have to alter your story to fit what you've drawn. Maybe it's going to improve the story, but it could also just as easily make you dislike your own story and kill your motivation. Another con is delayed production. Making sure your story is 100% complete and doesn't have any plot holes can take a long time. There's also the possibility you could fall into analysis paralysis, which is basically means you always try to improve your story because it is easy and quick to retype. But you're going to keep changing it and analyzing it, and you're going to be paralyzed from making any forward momentum. Remember, no story is perfect, only finished. So where does this leave us? What's the answer? Would you be upset if I told you there wasn't an answer? I won't do that to you. I will tell you what I suggest, but just remember every creator is different. What works for one creator isn't going to work for another. Doesn't make sense to try to force a creator into a box they don't want to be in. My first most important suggestion is that you hit that like button, but that's just a general life advice thing. But regarding this topic, this is what I suggest, bare minimum, at least for myself: outline. Make sure your entire story is outlined. You need to know how you're going from A to B to C, all the way to Z. How does the story start? How does it end? How does it go from one to the other to the other? What are important things you need to foreshadow and introduce as the story progresses? Think about your character, their motivations, and how they're going to grow as they go from one point to another. Think about surprises and what's going to keep your readers interested as the characters make their journey. I've talked about outlines in previous videos. I'm going to link them here so you can check those out later. The level of detail is going to depend on the complexity of your story. All I can say is when you feel confident you have a solid grasp on the progression of your story, then you can go ahead and move forward with the first arc. You need to write your entire first arc. I'm going to leave the definition here of arc pretty loose because it's going to change based on your story. But basically, you want to write enough to take your characters from the start of their journey to some big challenge. And you probably want to write how they're going to deal with and overcome that challenge or fail on that challenge depending on your story. This should give you enough information to let you know if your outline, characters, or plot need to be reworked. And if there is a problem, go ahead and rework it. Determine if your first arc needs to be fixed. Rinse and repeat. Of course, if your story is short and simple, just write the entire thing. If you're going to draw your own writing, then you can write a little more loosely so you can finish sooner. No reason to make it descriptive and pretty. You can clean up the writing as you draw and visualize it. If you're working with a writer though, make sure they have their story figured out first before you start. The other thing I would suggest when you're first starting out your creative journey is to start small. Don't try to tackle a massive 2,000-page monster. Do some short stories, 10 pages, 20 pages. Some of my first comics were 2 pages long. Try writing an entire small story. Then try just drawing a story and make it up as you go. Doing more short trials are going to form you on what type of creator you want to be. And one final tip, if you're getting impatient and just want to start drawing, there are a couple of things you can do to delay that beast. First, start drawing concept art. Take a break from writing and just start figuring out what your characters look like, what locations look like. Draw vehicles, draw weapons, Second, create some short stories for your characters. Maybe just 1 page, maybe 10 pages, whatever. This will let you get to know your characters a little better and possibly change the direction of your story. The added bonus of this is you can start posting this stuff online, and so you can build up the readership before you even posted your first real page. Speaking of, just don't be afraid to post your stuff online. The chances of someone wanting to steal your ideas are pretty small, and even if they did, it would be through their voice and not yours, so it's not going to be the same anyways. Question and answer time. If you're currently writing a story, how much do you plan on finishing before you start drawing? Or if you're already drawing, how much did you have written before you started drawing? Or the scary analysis paralysis question, how long have you been writing your story without having started drawing? If you have any questions, make sure you check out my Patreon and Discord links down below, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace!